when you read the actual text of the bill, and you see some of the brouhaha that's been going on over the federal push via DOT, HUD, and EPA for Sustainable Communities Initiative, and when you start reading through that stack of paperwork, and you basically, the only conclusion I can come up with is that this is an attempt to federalize local zoning codes to urbanize what is actually a rural New Hampshire, and gives the ability to, specifically in the bill, to create more regional districts, more regional boards that will be made up of unaccountable, unelected, and folks who can tax they can do their own fee structure. As you mentioned with that other board that I expressed surprise at, like, a what? The Fire Control Board. Traditional.
I see. First, there are three issues to be identified with the language of the bill. The first one has to do with the actual purpose clause. The purpose clause definitely should be taken out. Theoretically, the Supreme Court has said that they're not interested in purpose clause. They look at the actual statutory construction. But there's no sense having that in there, because that's really where a lot of the concern lies, as far as you're putting into the actual statute verbiage that would lead us towards this whole sustainability initiative. You take that out of it, and you actually look at what the bill does from that point forward. There are still a number of serious concerns. One has to do with the capital costs and how the capital costs for a sewer district would be maintained, and then there's the actual payment of fees, and it uses the word benefit. If people benefit, well, someone could argue that if they run a sewer and water line in front of your house in a rural section of New Hampshire, that you benefit because you could tap into that at some point. So therefore, because you benefit, then therefore you should have to pay in some form or fashion. And so I think that the capital costs and the actual fees should be limited to those people who are actually connected to water and sewer. And that obviously leaves the open issue of community benefits that a district might take hold, which is like fire hydrants or storm drains. Now, admittedly, those are community benefits, and so but that all speaks to why this bill, in my estimation, needs to go back. Complete overhaul, and that means either killing it and starting it again next year, or actually what I think might be a better idea is to refer it for a study committee and actually turn it into a study and say, listen, I understand what you're trying to do here, because a lot of people don't realize this. New Hampshire is not a home rule state, so if two communities want to get together and have equal membership in a local area, they actually need to get state legislative approval. Communities only have authority that which is granted to them by the state.
Right, being a subdivision. And if I had read the bill and I saw for the towns of Exeter and Stratham, I probably wouldn't be in much of a fuss. But we've been following the Water Sustainability Commission. We've been following the local regional planning commissions. And when you have lines that appear that one of the challenges of their project is the long tradition of strong private ownership that has to be overcome. I mean, that just sets off all kinds of bells, because without private ownership, without the right to private property,
right to the rainwater that lands in your property.
Well, regardless, just in general, you don't have a free market.
No. If you don't have property rights, property rights you cannot have a free market without property rights, and if you can't defend those property rights, there can't be a free market, and that's absolutely critical. So, as I said, I think that there are some possible benefits. Again, first, what they used to call in legislature a special, meaning that I want to do something for a community or a district, and say, Exeter and Stratham, you guys want to get together and set this up and do it this way with these members appointed this way?
Yeah.
Absolutely. If you just want to narrow it down to one specific or two or three specific communities or whatever have you, and just allow that to take place by giving it some statutory authority, I think that's fine. And if you want to do it more broadly to allow That means you, I think, really need to narrow it down and really narrow down the focus. Make sure you're protecting people's property rights. Make sure you're not trying to set a policy, basically of a backdoor policy goal that you might then in turn try to use statutorily or more typically via litigation. In other words, you try to litigate something, a state agency trying to use rulemaking authority based upon some purpose clause.
Croc TV.